Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. In marine legends, there are certain places in the world that tend to strike fear into the hearts of sailors and travelers. One of the most famous is a portion of water that covers a rather large footprint in the North Atlantic Ocean, roughly 500,000 square miles, and straddles the Sargasso Sea in the Atlantic and parts of the Caribbean islands. It is a place where, according to legend, ships have been mysteriously lost at sea, radar connections have been unexplainedly disrupted or fractured altogether, and planes have mysteriously gone down without explanation. A place known as the Bermuda Triangle. Now, according to my research, there have been more than 50 ships and more than 20 airplanes that have been destroyed or gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle without a trace. Known by some as the Devil's Triangle, it is marked by 3 locations to form its triangular shape in the mid-Atlantic Ocean. And these locations would be the southeast coast of Florida to the west, Puerto Rico to the southeast, and the remote island of Bermuda in the dead center of the Atlantic Ocean to the north. Now, the history of the Bermuda Triangle goes back more than 500 years, actually. The first documentation of it comes from the famous explorer Christopher Columbus, who actually passed through the triangle on his way to what he thought was Asia and what turned out to be the New World. Stories from Columbus and his men say that he and his men became panicked when their ships got stuck in the massive clumps of seaweed in the triangle, which, by the way, is known by the scientific name sargassum, and this is where we get the name Sargasso Sea for this region in the mid-Atlantic. Now, scientists believe that this seaweed, which can obviously cause damage to boats stuck in it, also emits a semi-toxic fume that could make those breathing it in feel sick and even disoriented, which could have explained why Christopher Columbus and his men allegedly hallucinated while stuck here. Now, many more ships would go down in the centuries to come. And then when air travel became popular in the 20th century, several planes allegedly disappeared in the triangle as well. The question historians and conspiracy theorists have asked is, why has this happened? Now, some believe it to be a place of supernatural horror, and let me be clear, the supernatural world is as real as the natural world. After all, we serve a supernatural God. However, I believe that in the case of the Bermuda Triangle in particular, there could be a scientific explanation for all of this. The most obvious, to be honest, is that the Bermuda Triangle actually sits in the center of Hurricane Alley in the mid to North Atlantic Ocean, where massive tropical storms tend to spring up almost at a moment's notice. And this, of course, can cause rogue waves to come out of nowhere, and these storms could also be deadly for airplanes who would lose their position and control in the skies if they flew through them. Now, for Christians, there are certain places in the world that evoke fear and dread, and it seems that the Bermuda Triangle could be one of these. But I want us to remember to never forget that these places, while wild and even dangerous as a result of the fall, are under the control of Almighty God, who commands the wind and the waves with his very breath. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.